I haven't been able to get the Ole Miss guy on here because I'm not verified on X, as you know, yet. And he won't talk to nobody that's not verified. So, but I've heard some of his interviews. He says it looks a lot like the Auburn search of 2020, I believe.
Hmm.
So he's saying that he doesn't expect an announcement till after the season. Do you believe that? Because I don't believe what he's saying. I think he's just trying to guess.
Yeah. I think there's never going to be certainty in college football. We learned that in recruiting. We learned that in the games being played. We learned that every Saturday. So I'm not gonna come on here and say I'm certain that Lane Kiffin is gonna be a Florida Gator by the end of the week. I'm certain that Lane Kiffin's gonna be a Florida Gator at all. I'm certain that Lane Kiffin's gonna be a Ole Miss Rebel, in the future. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
there's never certainty there. I think that this situation will be resolved sooner rather than later. I don't think this continues on till the end of the year because both sides they kind of need it to be resolved. I don't think Ole Miss wants, their shot at a college football playoff run to be hindered by a coach that's still thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to go to Florida. Oh, I'm negotiating with Florida and I'm focusing on a playoff run. And I don't think Florida wants to say, yeah, listen, while other coaches are getting scooped up, we're going to sit here and wait for you to make a decision when everyone's gone already. So I think for both sides, it makes a lot more sense if this situation is handled, relatively soon. I think the longer it takes for Lane Kiffin to sign an extension, the more Florida is going to feel good about it because, I'm sure Ole Miss is ponying up for their coach. I think he is, as much as not to disrespect the Ole Miss program, but he's kind of everything they got right now. And I
Exactly. They've been waiting 50 years for this moment.
Exactly. And I think they are throwing everything at him. So I think Florida feels good about it. I mean, from what I've heard, what I've seen, Florida feels very good about it. I know, there's a lot of information out there on Twitter, on the message boards, everything. And it's hard to tell what's true or fake, but from a couple of trusted sources, I've heard that Florida feels very good about this. I think if it does happen to an announcement does occur, I think it's sooner rather than later. Like I mentioned, I don't think it extends to the off season, and I think that Florida is very very strong in who they want as the head coach of the Florida Gators, which is a great thing. I don't think we wanted them to, I think we wanted them to be firm in their belief, and I think they have that. And Florida can be a very compelling school when they want what they want. So I'm feeling confident. I think that it gets done sooner rather than later, and I think these next couple of weeks, maybe even this week alone, is going to be really fun to watch, and we'll see what happens.
Guys, I'm gonna give a quick take on this. This to me feels like the Urban Meyer search 2.0. When they wanted to go get Urban Meyer, people were saying no, it's not gonna happen. Then a couple weeks later, the Urban Meyer there was a plane from Florida going to Utah, and everybody was going crazy. So if there's another plane going to Ole Miss a couple weeks from now, you know what's gonna happen.
We might even know, earlier than that. We'll see. I think nowadays with how information gets out, we'll be knowing pretty soon, is what I'm guessing.
Because I don't read too much into the Sexton being at Florida because he has a lot of clients.